How's it going, everybody? Ended up with let me turn volume up with the flu, and I think I got it on the job. If I was just to guess, now when you get the flu, it is of my opinion that your body is just uh, in 2020 we were told what a flu is. I mean, excuse me, what a corona virus is by doctors that were on the internet that were giving you the truth in plain sight. And they were saying, you're born with a coronavirus. It's built into all of us. It's how our body rids itself of toxins. You don't just have to fast to get rid of toxins or take ginger or apple cider vinegar or cayenne pepper. Your body actually naturally gets rid of toxins. And they told us that it takes place when your body triggers and says it's time to dump toxins, it'll just start dumping toxins. You don't catch it from somebody else, but you can have triggers that will weaken you. And then your body goes, immune system's weak. Let's bust it up. Let's go ahead and just bust this whole, let's just detox. And I was in a building, a section, a room where allegedly there's potentially mold, I was told by somebody. And if that's true, that'll trigger me, along with artificial air fresheners that absolutely just destroy me. They're horrible for our endocrine system. I mean, they're chemicals. You're breathing them. What you breathe matters. How do you think people get high on crack cocaine? They inhale it. What you breathe matters. So, artificial air fresheners, if you just Google it and talk about, why don't we just do it? The dangers of artificial air fresheners. Artificial air fresheners. And there's plugins, there's all different kinds. There it is, endocrine disruptor. Cause birth defects, asthma, breast cancer. I mean, goodness gracious, people. It's got formaldehyde. I mean, what do you want from me? I'm just going to tell you the truth, right? So all week long, I was in a building that contained that, along with potential mold. And I sat in a room where the AC just was kicking. I liked the room. And it was my own room on the job for a week. Well, it wasn't my own room. It was an area that I borrowed, but it was spacious. We can call it a conference room. Okay. And they didn't mind me hanging out in there unless they had a conference, and then I would get lost. They had another office for me, but they couldn't get any Wi-Fi when I would try to plug into a monitor. That was weird. So I don't know. And by the end of the week, I started getting a sore throat. And it was just time for my body to detox. That's all it was. And that's all it is. And anyway, let's get on with today's study. Acts 18. So I'm doing the Saturday study here late on a Sunday night because I was thinking just I would be doing these for a while, but I ended up feeling like I had the energy to do it. And I'm hoping to get back to work by Wednesday. That would be nice. I don't like missing work, especially because I love my job. That's really why I don't like missing work. Let's stay in the new, especially that I'm going to be a little out of it and lazy. We'll definitely stay in the New Living. Uh, Crispus, the leader of the synagogue, and everyone in his household believed in the Lord. Sheep. Many others in Corinth also heard Paul, became believers, and were baptized. Sheep. One night, the Lord spoke to Paul in a vision and told him, "Don't be afraid, speak out. Don't be silent, for I am with you, and no one will attack or harm you, for many people in this city belong to me." It's a pretty big deal. Again, when you're living in the Bible in real time, you're living in a supernatural or on a supernatural earth. The earth is supernatural. So Paul stayed there for the next year and a half teaching the word of God. But when Gallio became governor of Achaia, some Jews rose up together against Paul and brought him before the governor of judgment. They accused Paul of persuading people to worship God in ways that are contrary to our law. But just as Paul started to make his defense, Gallio turned to Paul's accusers and said, "Listen, you Jews, if this were the case involving some wrongdoing or serious crime, I would have a reason to accept your case. But since this is merely questions of words and names in your Jewish law, take care of it yourselves. I refuse to judge such matters." And he threw them out of the courtroom. The crowd then grabbed Sothenius, I don't know, the leader of the synagogue, and beat him right there in the courtroom. But Gallio paid no attention. Well, I'll tell you what, it sounds like an awful lot of drama, doesn't it? Like I'm watching I don't know, Special Victims Unit or something. Law and Order. uh, and he drave them from the judgment seat. Then all the Greeks took Sothenius, the chief ruler of the synagogue, and beat him before the judgment seat. And Gallio cared for none of those things. Didn't pay it no never mind. Interesting. Let's continue on in Daniel 10. In the 24th year of the first month, I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel. Now, I believe this is my take that what is in green is Jesus and what is in blue is an angel. This is just my best theories on it based on how it's worded. And the way it seems to change and start to tell of a different situation, and behold, a hand touched me. Well, it doesn't sound like they're talking about the person up here, because what they have said, and behold, he then touched me, or his hand touched me. But it's like it's starting a new narrative. And later on, this angel talks about how he is fighting a spirit prince or something like that. And Jesus doesn't need any help, or Jesus isn't fighting spirit princes. But I do believe this is Jesus up here, because as we've looked it up before, these are all various descriptions of Jesus. And Daniel acted very different around this entity, which I believe is Jesus. In the 24th day of the first month, so the 24th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up my eyes, and I looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen with loins girded with fine gold of Uphaz. And his body was also like the beryl, and his face the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like unto the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of the multitude. And that's spoken of by, as Jesus also. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. For the men that were with me saw not the vision, but the quaking fell upon them. so they fled to hide themselves. So there was a great fear, which again sounds something like be in the presence of Jesus. Therefore I was left alone and saw the great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the voice of the words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then I was in a deep sleep upon my face toward the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me up on my knees and upon the palms of my hand. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved. Now, is that the same person? Or is this now the angel that's coming along to tell him all this after Daniel was receiving a vision by Jesus? You can decide yourself. You're going to get different views because we've already looked it up before. I think the first part is Jesus. I think this is an angel, but I could be totally wrong. Oh, Daniel, a man greatly beloved. And Daniel and John were set apart to be greatly loved by God, by Jesus. They were loved deeper and differently than the rest. Do you know why that is? Because they are the end times prophets, apostles, prophets, Old Testament, apostles, New Testament. And the Lord loves his end times. That's why the persecuted church is set up and held all throughout the book of Revelation as being very, very special, a very special part of the church, because it's the final book. It's God's final story. It's his final cleansing of the final act of the bride from beginning to end, from Abraham all the way down to the end, the final sheep on the earth. It's the last act. It's the final stage. So, and again, he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee I am now sent. And see, this sounds like an angel that's sent to him. Jesus wouldn't be sent to Daniel. But Jesus did have the power to freak out those men and to freak Daniel out. And the way he was dressed was very special. Many comparisons to the way Jesus has been described, or God has been described previous times. And we've looked that up before. I just don't have the energy to do it today. Understand the word that I speak to thee, stand upright, unto thee and I am now sent. And when he had spoken these words upon me, I stood trembling. So he is trembling before the angel. And why was John said to be loved by Jesus more than the rest? John was one of Jesus's closest friends. John, the disciple whom Jesus loved. There it is right there. John, the disciple whom Jesus loved. Why was John the most loved by Jesus? Well, I just told you, because he's the end times. Why is John called the beloved disciple? Well, no matter what they tell you, and they won't tell you the truth, it's because he's simply the end times. He wrote Revelation, or God gave him the vision to write Revelation. Period. And then Daniel, we just got through reading that he was loved. And that's not said. Why were John and Daniel loved more than the rest? Let's see if anybody comes up with it. Why is John the disciple whom Jesus loved? Why was Daniel called beloved? Why did God love Daniel so much? What was special about John in the Bible? Do you think any of them will tell you the truth? First to follow Jesus, next to Jesus' Last Supper. Yeah. Folks, it's because I'm telling you, they're not going to tell you the truth. It's because these are the end times prophets, apostles / apostles. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.